Welcome to our reading circle today. We've been learning all about winter, and it is so important that we learn about hibernation because there are so many animals that hibernate in winter. Do you know what the word hibernation means? It's sort of like they go to sleep and they go to a special place to get ready for the spring to come. And an animal that many kids know that hibernates is a bear. But there are other animals that hibernate. So today, as I'm reading this book called A Bed for the Winter, I want you to learn a new animal that you've never knew that hibernates. So let's get started reading and pay close attention. Remember, this is a nonfiction book. It's gonna give us information and facts. That's a little bit different from a storybook that has characters and might be made up. So let's start reading and look for animals that hibernate. A bed for winter. I already see some animals on this first page. I'm getting my mind ready that these might be some animals that hibernate. A fluffy-tailed dormouse stops by a meadow. Cold rain is falling. Soon snow will be coming. The dormouse is looking for somewhere to sleep. She needs a bed for the winter. A squirrel gathers leaves high in a tree. He makes his nest warm for the cold winter weather. But a nest in the treetops is too high for a dormouse. The dormouse looks up, then scurries by. A queen wasp sleeps under an oak stump. She has squeezed through a crack in the rotten wood. But a crack in an oak stump is too small for a dormouse. The dormouse looks in, then scurries by. A golden-eyed toad sleeps under a stone. It is muddy and wet, and the toad's skin is cold. But it's too wet for a dormouse under a stone. The dormouse looks in, but then scurries by. So far, we've learned about different animals that are sleeping in different places, but none of them is right for the dormouse. So the dormouse is continuing to look. A mother brown bear sleeps in a den. She is furry and warm. She stretches and yawns. Here's a picture of a den. It's like a cave. The dormouse looks in. The bear's teeth are huge. The dormouse trembles. Ooh, can you tremble with me? Then scurries by. I think the dormouse might be a little bit scared. Bats hang in a cave and cling to the rock. They huddle together and sleep through the winter. Look at all those bats. The cave is damp and dark. It's too cold for a dormouse. The dormouse looks in, then scurries by. A family of rabbits hop into their burrow. They live underground when the weather is cold, but there are too many rabbits to make room for a dormouse. Look at all those rabbits in that hole. The dormouse looks in, then scurries by. An owl with sharp claws flies over the meadow. He is hungry and watchful. He is hunting for mice. The owl swoops. The dormouse hides in a bush. Where can she find a safe bed for the winter? Let's find out. A deer comes to the meadow. She nibbles the grass. Her coat has grown thick for the cold winter weather. The dormouse shivers in the wind, then scurries by. The dormouse doesn't have a thick coat of fur like the deer. A storm is coming. The sky has turned black. Bees fly home to their hive. Ants run to their nest. The dormouse waits under a branch for the storm to pass by. Where can she find a safe bed for the winter? A snake slides through the grass. He has hungry black eyes. He stares at the dormouse. His tongue flicks in and out. The dormouse is trapped. She's too scared to move. The snake slithers closer. His forked tongue comes nearer. Boom! Thunder rumbles. Crack! Lightning flashes. The snake stops for a second, then shoots into the grass. The dormouse runs through the meadow. Her heart pounds like a drum. She climbs up a tree trunk. She crawls into a hole. She finally finds a place that is safe and dry. Snow falls on the meadow. The ground is frozen and hard. Snug in the tree hole, the dormouse is sleeping. Her long, fluffy tail is wrapped tightly around her. Her search is over. The dormouse is safe. At last, she has found a bed for winter. The end. There were so many animals that had different places to sleep for winter. Do you remember the bats hanging all together? And then the bear had its own cave. Today, I want to show you an activity you can do to show some animals sleeping or hibernating in the winter. Let me show you how to do it. For this activity, you'll need maybe a paper plate, but if you don't have a paper plate, you can just use a regular piece of paper. And then I'm using a blue piece of construction paper, but you can use really any color you want. And then some black for the cave or the den. And then I'm also going to be showing you another animal that hibernates, a fox. So I have some orange paper. So as we get started, you're going to take that paper plate and you're actually going to have your grown-up help you fold it in half, and then you're going to cut it. So after you cut it, you're going to have two pieces, and I want you just to take one of those pieces and cut out the inside. And this is going to become kind of the outside of our cave. So when we put the black paper down, then we'll put this over it. So that's what our cave is going to make our cave, okay? But we also want to make our bear. So to make our bear, I have some scrap brown paper here, or you can use white paper and color it brown. And you're going to want to cut out a big circle and two small circles. So if you want your child to practice cutting, which is a great skill to practice, you can draw the circles for them and then ask them to cut them out. And they don't have to be perfectly round, it's okay. And then they can cut them out and create their bear. And then you also need a white circle to make the bear's face and put the nose on. So again, you could have them cut out the circle or you could do that for them. Okay, so let's start assembling. So as you can see, I cut off part of my rectangle so it was rounded, and I want to go ahead and glue that down first. And then I want to think about what color would I want to color my cave. Now I could leave it a white color like it's covered with snow, or maybe I want to make it more brownish like the natural landscape of the den of the bear that's hibernating. Either one is great, and you can let your child be creative with how they want to do it. Or maybe I'll do a gray color to kind of make it like stone. So I'm just going over my paper plate. And if you want to, if you're gonna have your child color it, it is a little easier to color it before you cut it. But that's up to you. It's still good practice to stay within the lines here, the edges. And none of this has to be perfect. I like to remind my own children that it's okay if there's mistakes here and there. It's all about learning. Okay, so I have my cave, and I'm gonna take some glue, and this probably would need a grown-up's help just to make sure it stays down. So you could either staple it here and here so you're sure it's secure. I'm gonna use a little bit of glue today, but I know that that might fall off because the paper plate is a little bit rounded, so I'll probably go back and reinforce that with a staple later. So just kind of press that down so it looks like we're looking in the cave. I'm gonna hold this down for a couple places for a few minutes here, or a few seconds, I mean. Okay, so let's get our bear in that cave. So I'm gonna put my bear And you know what? I made a mistake. I'm gonna pull this off. I'm gonna glue that on second. That makes more sense. I'm sorry about that. That's what I said, mistakes can happen. And they're okay. So I'm gonna put this bear down, and then I'm gonna put the circle and then the 2 ears. And it's starting to come together. We're starting to see that hibernating bear. Oh, and one more thing to glue. We want to glue there we go. And now you can draw a little face on that bear. So I'm going to draw a little nose like that. And I'm going to make 2 U shapes because the bear is sleeping. Okay, now I'm ready to do my cave gluing. That way I can make sure my bear's ears are tucked in there. There we go. So now the bear is safely nestled in that cave, ready to hibernate. Now, if your child would like to do some more for winter, you could make snowflakes with a white crayon coming down. You could even make a moon if you want it to be kind of a nighttime. You could make the snowbank here. And over on this side, color in that snow. And now you've created a bear that's hibernating in winter. Looks really great. Now, one animal that they didn't mention that does some hibernation is a fox. And so I took a small paper plate here. Again, if you don't have a paper plate, you can just use a round piece of paper. And then I folded it like this to make a point on one side. And then I did have to glue and hold that down for a little bit so you can put something heavy on top of it. And if you would like, you could have your child color the inside first, but I'm gonna color this inside part orange. And then I'm gonna have to draw some eyes. And they can use crayons or markers. All of these are good practice for their motor skills, and they're really fun too to color and create and learn about animals in winter. Okay, and then I'm gonna put some sleeping eyes. And then the last final touch is I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm going to cut 2 triangles. So I'm gonna actually do this. So I'm gonna cut that one, and I'm gonna cut like this, my rectangle, and then I'm gonna glue those up here for some fox ears. So I'm gonna glue those, and then I have 2 animals that hibernate in winter. I have a sleeping fox and a sleeping bear. Learning about winter has been so much fun, and it was really great to learn about animals that hibernate all through winter. And then you got to make your great den with your cute little bear tucked inside, sleeping soundly through the winter. Or maybe you tried out the fox, also sleeping and hibernating in winter. Thanks for joining me today, and I can't wait to see you next time.